You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Hi everyone, welcome to Potluck Food Talks. My name is Eric. I'm here with Mohammed Bahamut. And we're going to talk about, you know what is funny? You were the first person that once told me, like, Eric, by the way, people, that's wrong. You don't say that. I don't know which discussion we were having, and I say, whatever, potato. And you were like, Eric, there's no such thing as potato.
It's tomato. That's hilarious.
So as you can guess, we're going to talk about potatoes, not potatoes. I guess this is probably one of the most versatile ingredients there is, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the potato is fucking king, I think, in the kitchen, no? It's such a glorious thing. There's not many things that are so ugly and like nubbled and dirty that come from the ground that I have such a warm sentiment towards. Maybe truffles. But yeah, potato is incredible, no?
Yeah, and I mean, like, we could do like a whole episode like the boba game, like Boba and Forrest Gump with the shrimps that would go saying like different stuff that you can do with potatoes. Can you think of any like signature dish right now of a famous chef or a traditional dish with potatoes?
Oh, of course, 100%. I mean, the Joël Robuchon potato puree. I mean, iconic, right? Still to this day, everybody, when they make potato puree, kind of like you hear it all the time. Joël Robuchon this, Joël Robuchon that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That one, well, the interesting thing about that one is that it has like 60% butter. That's the secret. The secret ingredient.
Yeah, basically.
It's like an emulsion, a butter emulsion where you use potato as a base for the emulsion, basically.
Yeah, but that's how I make my potato puree also. Like, I remember in an Anthony Bourdain interview, No Reservations had one episode in Paris. I think it was the 100th episode. They had a few episodes in Paris, I think 2 or 3. But they had one, it was the 100th episode, and Joël Robuchon was in there. A super cool episode. Having trouble finding it these days, but I used to watch it a lot.
I think I haven't seen that episode, to be honest.
And in there, Tony asks him, sort of like, yeah, potato puree, what's the deal? And he's like, 2 parts potato, 1 part butter, that's it. And I make my potato puree the same. I boil potatoes, I let them steam out. You boil them with the skin, right, to keep all the flavor in and not the water out. So you peel them, you rice them, you let them steam out. And then while they're warm, I start emulsifying in butter until it almost starts to split. And only then I add a little bit of hot milk just to keep the emulsion going. But it's basically just potatoes and butter. And the milk is just kind of there to keep it all together.
Hot milk, important.
Yeah, important.
So what else? The triple cooked chips from Heston Blumenthal. Have you ever done those ones?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's standard now. No, the triple cooked chips. It's almost standard, especially in the UK. Like, you go to a pub and like you'll see triple cooked chips on the menu, and it's crazy how a technique like that is then like taking over, because Heston Blumenthal, 3 Michelin star chef, and then it becomes so iconic that everybody does it because it's just such a good technique. I think that's such an accomplishment.
Do you know when it was first developed?
No, I mean early
1992.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, man. That's crazy, no? Because you think of Heston Blumenthal and you wouldn't expect for him having such an old, like back then, developing this crazy methodical recipes. But yeah, it was one of the first things he developed. And it became a thing.
Yeah, it's so impressive, because, and like that is real innovation, I think, in a way. Because, of course, like Heston Blumenthal's done so much cool shit. Like him and Jockey together in the Fat Duck, they've developed so many iconic recipes for the fine dining world, But taking a potato and taking something like a fucking French fry and changing that process for the better, I think that's even more impressive. You know, like if you now tomorrow come up with a new way of making an omelet that makes a way better omelet, and then all the like bistro places and stuff start using that recipe, I think that is really, truly impressive because it's things that have been around for a really, really long time. And it again, it's something so simple. There's not real much thing that you can change or do apart from la geste, apart from your, you know, how you make it.
So also, as far as I know, so these potatoes are pre-cooked in water, then they're frozen to get even more water out, and after that they're fried, but like in a non-super high temperature. I think it's 130 Celsius, something like that, which is really low for frying, but long, like prolonged frying. So and you get that like this golden brown, super extra crispy. Well, that's something basic. If you want to get crispiness out of potatoes, you want to cook them first to get get the sugars out that are the ones that will caramelize if you apply them like a direct dry heat, like with the fries, which is basically what he's doing with this process. It's a super long process for potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can simplify the process also. I mean, you could really easily just kind of, I've done it before in places that are not fancy at all, right? Where you cut your chips, you put them in a pot, cold water, right? You bring the pot to a boil one time, you drain the potatoes off, you let them steam out. Then you have your fryer, you pre-fry them at a low temperature, like 140, 150, until they're kind of like confit through and sort of like golden, but not brown. And then like they're cooked through and like the water is kind of like come out of them. And then at the very end, you fry them like very high, like 180, 190, just to crisp them up. And it works amazing. Crispy outside, fluffy inside, it's perfect. And of course, Heston's approach is like full on.
Yeah, I mean, being who he is, I can expect him doing like hundreds of trials and ending up with that specific temperature and time and
Of
type
course.
of potato and everything, you know, like
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did, yeah.
that would be something to do to replicate once, like if we're together, you know, like buying a potato and replicating the whole process and trying it, because I haven't tried like I have a friend who tried it. Like he would do his fried potatoes like that, and he told me, yeah, I'm doing it like the Heston Blumenthal, step by step, exactly the same procedure, and just out of, you know, intellectual curiosity, I think that would be fun to do.
You know what? I think I'm gonna do it the next couple of days. I think I'm gonna make some French fry tries because this is again like one thing. The potato is such a humble ingredient. The potato is kind of like the egg, such a humble ingredient, and it's kind of like you can do, but like depending on what you want to do, it's like there's a million fucking ways that you can go. And like with a French fry, you know, French fry can be something you can literally just like cut potatoes, fry them until they're golden, and eat them, and that's a French fry. But there's so many things that you can do that will change the outcome and make it better and better and better and better.
You know, like it's super common to do French fries here in Spain, like at home, like a quick lunch. People would, you know, peel potatoes, cut them, and throw them to a pot with oil. Like you would see that here at homes every once in a while. And we've talked about this before, like the approach here, because these potatoes are thrown directly to the fryer and fried there. So they get this soggy kind of, which is also a thing, you know, like it's also an approach, and I'm fine with that, you know, like not everything has to be, like this Spanish fries is their own thing, yeah.
It's its own thing. It's got its own appeal, you know. If I have like a plate of albondigas with like
You want
a
that.
fucking with like a super oniony sauce, you know, that is exactly what I want with it, you know. So everything has its own spot in the world, I think.
What about gratin dauphinois?
I love that, man. This is like something that I've not done for a long time. It's so heavy, no? But like there's something my mom would cook, you know? A potato gratin. Fucking amazing.
Very basic, right? Like you just slice them with a mandolin. Don't put them in water. Put them in a baking tray, a baking pan. Cream, some nutmeg, salt, pepper. That's it, right? Anything else?
That's it, man. Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
So it's important to not wash the potatoes because you want that starch to be there to make them stick and make like this savory potato cake situation, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, it's so satisfying when you get it right. You can put cheese on top or whatever, you know. I mean, there's a French thing also called tartiflette,
Okay.
which is basically like a gratin. You put Robuchon cheese on top. So it's like super cheesy, gratinated, and then you have layered potatoes. Super tasty. One version of that is, I think, by far one of my very, very favorite potato dishes to make. And it's something that I would make if I have like a dinner party and I want to do something that's like very visually impressive, is Pommes Boulanger. You know Pommes Boulanger?
Boulanger is baker, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Baker's potatoes.
But yeah, they call it patatas panaderas here. Yes, of course. It's like this thick slices, right?
It can be. It kind of depends. Yeah. Often, I mean, Pommes Boulanger is with caramelized onions. So often you would so the idea why it's called baker's potatoes is because you would bake these in the residual heat of the bread oven. You know, you used to have big communal ovens. Everybody would bake bread. Bread gets baked at a bit like high temperature. And so to not waste the rest of the energy of the oven, you would bake potatoes in it. And so you would like layer potatoes with like a broth and brown like caramelized onions, and you bake them. Very nice. But
do you use the juices of whatever meat you cook? Do you use the bottom of the pan with all the meatiness?
I don't personally I think a brown stock is very important. So if you make it for vegetarians, it's a little bit difficult. But if you can use like a brown chicken stock or like a veal and chicken stock that's like brown, you know, it's very, very good. Because what happens is that I have a very particular way of doing it. Do me a favor. Wait, you know what? I'm gonna send you a quick image so that you get an idea.
Okay. This looks almost like this apple tarts where you have like this spiral arrangement of apple slices, like a fancy apple tart.
But it's actually very easy. You slice you take big potatoes, you cut them, like you halve them, and then you slice them at an angle, very like medium thin. And then you kind of fan them out, and you can like lay them in your buttered tray, whatever. You can use like a copper pan or like a cast iron pan or a crozette, whatever you want to present it in, you know? And then you layer like your caramelized potatoes on it, and you pour the broth on. And as the potatoes cook, the starch of the potato goes into the broth, and the broth reduces, and it becomes like thick and sticky, and the potatoes like soak up the broth, and they become like super meaty. And it's such a simple thing, but if you make it right, the end, like the texture of the potatoes, the flavor of the potatoes, and the flavor of this like broth, that then becomes like a sauce, like a glaze, super nice. Like you have to try it.
Yeah, like I think I've said this many episodes ago, but one of my most memorable food memories, I remember like all of my family left, and I was left alone with my dad at home. And I think it was me and my brother. And well, it was somehow like, you know, like suddenly, home alone, we can do, you know, whatever. And I remember my dad grilled in a cast iron pan some meat at the grill. So you had like all the juices of the meat and the onions and all this like you know at the top, and this little yellow in Venezuela you would call them Colombian potatoes. I think in Colombia they're called Creole potatoes, and that are yellow like a banana. Okay, like super yellow. For me, I think those are my favorite potatoes in the world. Those potatoes are incredible. Also, like in the first restaurant that I worked, that was a French restaurant in Venezuela. They would do those potatoes in many different ways. That like just sautéed with butter and Parmesan cheese and garlic parsley, and that was just amazing. And just dipping my mouth is watering right now. Just dipping those potatoes in those juices of meat, you know, just the best thing in the world. You know, you don't need anything else.
It's amazing. It's so good. I love how like ingrained these memories are in you. You know, you're like talking about it and your mouth starts watering, you know? It's crazy how food can have this like impact on you like for forever. It's kind of like with music, you know, and I had a similar, you know, we always talk about sort of like the impact that food can have on memory, and put you into a certain place. I had like a similar thing the other day. I was listening to a song that made me really remember the time when I first came to Mugaritz. And it is crazy, like it put me back into being on the mountain and smelling the air. You know the way that Basque air smells, like very particularly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that reminded me of a different song that, when I listen to it, really reminds me of when I first arrived in Japan. Also very, very particular time, very particular smell. And I put that song on. I was at home, I was wearing headphones, and I put that song on, and I could almost taste the taste of this like warm coffee from the vending machines, the one that you get in the cans, the can that comes out and it's hot. And I immediately had that taste in my mouth. And I was like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I've had those kinds of things as well. Like just the smell of the air and having a memory of, I don't know, 20 years ago or something like that. I had another one. Well, do you have any other potato dishes in mind?
Oh, yeah. So what do you think about potato as a sauce? Have you ever tried that? Potato as a sauce?
Well, I remember in Margot, and for me that was really fucked up. I never saw something like that. We did a potato gel. You remember that?
Which dish was it for?
That was like a fucked up technique. And also, I thought that was like really like modern and crazy. And it was done by Hoffman, who was like more like a classic kind of chef. But so like the potatoes would be thrown to the juicer, which I've never seen before.
Which is nuts in itself. It's a crazy thing to do, yeah.
And then there were like, in Germany, to do the knödel, you have this powder that avoids oxidation for the potatoes.
Hackovais.
Hackovais. It's funny because hacko in Spanish is that like a very hard and cheap street drug that junkies use. And this is like a white powder. It's called Hackovais, and it's like Hacko White is the translation. And yeah, you would throw some Hacko White into this potato juice. Then you would let it rest so the sediments would separate from the potato water. And then that water, you would treat it like a gel, like a normal gel, with agar, letting it set, and then making like it was important to separate the starches at the bottom. And that's something like crazy stuff I've never seen before, like.
100%,
to be honest, it was not like mind blowing at the end.
That's the thing. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's like, man, you do all this shit, and then it's kind of like, what the fuck?
Well,
but like, I have two examples of potato sauces that I really like, but I'm gonna just quickly refer to a dish at Margot also. Like, I remember at Margot, we had these like heirloom varieties of potatoes. He was experimenting with different types of potatoes. We had these like burgundy ones, these like, blah, this, that, blah. And I remember this one dish, and like, what should you not do with potatoes?
Let them oxidize, right?
Let them oxidize or eat them raw.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. No go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say both things are no goes.
100%. Like because they're also like a little bit poisonous. They have this like toxin in them. What's it called in English? Blausäure. It's quite toxic. It's quite toxic. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
So what we were doing is like we were cooking potatoes, but like we're basically just blanching them in like a chicken stock, and they were still crunchy, like thinly sliced, very thinly sliced. So you could see all the color of the potatoes, the blue and the red and the yellow. And I don't really remember what dish it was for, but then we had these like basically half raw potatoes as like a sort of warm salad garnish. That was pretty much out there. I don't know whether that was good or not. I cannot say.
I can also remember in Mugaritz, we had these potatoes that we would turn. Do you call it turn in English when you do this Zeppelin shapes of food? The peels, we would fry them. So it would be like chips of only potato skins, which is also interesting, like I think potato skins is for sure like something interesting to do stuff with it,
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You can fry them, you can mold them. Like there's lots of things that you can do with potato skins. Really nice. There's two potato sauces that I've seen one time. Well, one of them I made myself, so this is not very thing. But like I used to make this like potato espuma. Have you ever made a potato espuma?
Yeah.
It's so easy, but it's so nice. I used to use it as like a sauce for fish. I like seasoned it. So you have like a base of potato and cream. And then I would emulsify all like really nice olive oil into it and season it with piment espelette and lots of like lemon zest. So it was like really kind of like spicy, olivey, fragrant, and you make a really light espuma. And then we were serving it with like a grilled trout. And you can just like drag your fish through the sauce and like clings on it. It's very airy. It's super, super satisfying.
I thought you said olive oil instead of butter and potatoes is bullshit.
No, look, that is not what I said. I said that Spanish people claiming that a potato puree made with only olive oil is better than a classically made potato puree. It's ludicrous.
I think it's different. You know, like I think
It's different, as in it's worse.
It's like jazz music and blues music. You know, like different approaches. You know, different takes on music or potatoes.
Yeah, but like this is the thing with opinions, right? Like some of them are wrong. So like I think if you make a brandad or something like that, amazing. I think if we're talking about a potato puree that is meant to be eaten as a potato puree, in that sense, not just as like I puree a potato, but like a potato puree with its raw.
You know what I've done? Like, and I think it's pretty good, to be honest, but this is very heretic. A little bit of both. A little bit of olive oil and butter.
Oh,
mixing.
I can see that. No, I can get behind that. Yeah, for sure. But you see, this is an open-minded approach, which is what I like and appreciate about you, Eric. Because you're like you just do whatever that you feel. But like I remember the person that told me about this like olive oil thing, and they were very adamant. They were sort of like, I only eat potato puree with olive oil. It's kind of like, all right, I know that a big part of why you're saying it the way that you're saying it is just because you're Spanish and just because you want to make a point. That's very, very clear. Adding some olive oil because of its qualities, great, but just being a dick about it is like,
of course.
Just because, it's like, we're in Spain, we don't eat butter. And it's like, yeah, I get it, bro.
Like this smart ass I made a big deal about with the cheesecake. Cheesecake has to be burnt and it shouldn't be creamy in the middle. And I was like, you live in fucking London. What the fuck?
Are you the Cheesecake Stasi? Like, who the fuck are you to tell anybody what should be what in cooking? What the fuck are you talking about?
You came here for a weekend. You tried cheesecake at La Viña and you became a preacher of Basque cheesecake? Shut the fuck up. Go home. Go to sleep.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck you. And your stupid fucking opinions about cheesecake. Don't ever fucking come here again. If we see you around Old Town, you're done. Actually, probably the same week, I heard a sous chef in Mugaritz tell me, there's only one correct way to cook rice. And that is the way that Quique da Costa cooks it. And I was like, oh my God, what the, like, you're such a fucking idiot right now. But you're like, but it's almost impressive with how much conviction you delivered this incredibly stupid, retarded thing that you've just said. Like, I almost respect you for that. And this person, he has Michelin stars now in Spain. Like, he's got his own restaurant with Michelin.
I know who he is. I know who you're talking about. I remember also like something interesting with potatoes that I saw. It was a Marco Pierre White dish. I saw it on one of these videos he would do for a Knorr on YouTube.
Yeah.
So these potatoes were like, he would cut them like in ping pong ball sizes, kind of like in quarters, depending on the size of the potato, peeled, and then to the oven, like at a relatively slow temperature. I think it was like 140 degrees or something like that, just and then they're with butter, only butter and salt. And he would say Knorr would make it better, but I prefer to use whatever, thyme or rosemary or something, and garlic, or some meat stock, whatever. But yeah, like just until they're soft, but not letting them get color, just making them soft in butter and oven. And that is really delicious and really simple food. That's something I love.
That's really, really nice. Yeah, really, really nice. I have one more example of a potato sauce that I thought was amazing when I saw it. So there was a short time where I was working in a really amazing restaurant in buttfuck nowhere in England. I was living in central England, in Lincoln, right? East Midlands. And there was a restaurant in Lincoln City called the Juice House. Like a very old house, had an amazing restaurant, super good cooking, like very British classic French cooking, run and owned by a chef called Gavin. Really exceptional cooking, like so nice. And he had this very simple cheese tart. So he would make like puff pastry with like a layer of caramelized onions and put some like soft cheese on top and just gratinate it. Very simple, like a tarte fine. And together with that, he had like a herb salad. And he made a sauce which he called like a potato dressing. So what he would do is like he would take like really nice yellow potatoes and he'd cook them in chicken stock until they were soft. But like just a little bit of potato in like a good amount of stock. And then he'd mix that, right? So he'd mix the potatoes in with like a blender. So it would kind of like not get like velvety.
Elastic, yeah.
Yeah, but not slimy, but like really creamy. I think there was a little bit of cream and stuff in there also. And then he emulsified some olive oil into it and a little bit of truffle oil. And then he puts like dice of potato that he like blanched until they were soft into it. And like chives and a little bit like that. And it was this like warm potato dressing with bits of potato in it and a little bit of truffle flavor. And he would just serve that next to this tarte fine. And I was like, that is at the same time super classic, but also really genius. You know, has really, really stayed in my mind.
Dude, the French dressing we would do on Madgo. We talk about this on the dressing episode, the salad episode. Yeah, there was a chicken stock. Then you would cook the potatoes in the chicken stock, blend the whole thing. So you have like this creamy thing. And on top of that, lots of grapeseed oil, Merlot grapeseed oil. That's
oil
a
was
killer
amazing,
dressing.
Yeah.
That was a killer dressing. Maybe one of the best dressings I've ever had.
You still have the recipe?
No.
God damn it.
That's it for this week's episode of Potluck Food Talks. If you like what we're doing, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok as Potluck Food Talks. The show airs every Monday.